This is take 2 on The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The last post I did on this book was before I had ever discussed it with anybody, and this one is after I have discussed it with a group. And it was a good enough discussion that I felt like I better come back and say a few words about this book. I knew that there was some good things in it when I did the first post, but as always happens, there's more there when you discuss it with somebody. And other people in this discussion group today saw things that I didn't see, and they thought of things that I didn't think about, and I learned a lot from them. And I saw that there's more depth here than I gave Fitzgerald and The Great Gatsby credit for, and that there are some aspects of it that resonate with human beings, that resonate with us so much that it makes it timeless. And probably the most important thing that we talked about, there was a guy in our discussion that, this is one of his favorite books, and he came specifically because he wanted to talk about it, and he had a lot of really important contributions to make and great things to say. But the thing that he really focused on that really contributed to a lot of great discussion was why he is the Great Gatsby. What does it mean that he's the Great Gatsby? And in really tearing apart some key parts of the book and looking at where he came from, why he was doing what he was doing, and what he was blind to, what his center was, helped all of us see a little bit better ways that we put on appearances, ways that we want others to think certain things about us that may or may not be entirely true, and ways that we don't take advantage of those glimpses or those opportunities to see our own stuff and fix it. And so we remain blind to important things in our lives, and that's what was going on with That was really kind of one of the major things what was going on with everyone. They were blind to certain things, but especially Gatsby did not live in reality. And why did he not live in reality? And what were the things about him that were redeeming? I would highly encourage you to think really seriously about those ideas. And again, another plug for reading is fabulous, and discussing enriches it, deepens it, makes it, gives what the author was trying to say more flesh, more applicability, more depth. I don't know. It's such an important tool to our own self-growth and self-education. So that was a marvelous part of the discussion. It made us think about some things about moral foundation and where that comes from. Also, looking at the law of sowing and reaping. Consider that when you're thinking about The Great Gatsby. We compared him and Tom and asked the question, why did Daisy choose Tom? And what did he have that she wanted that Gatsby didn't have? And so I think that's kind of the timelessness. One great aspect, we all make these plans, right? And we make these schedules for ourselves, and then we struggle to follow through. But Gatsby pushed himself. He wanted to be better. He wanted to grow, and he wanted to accomplish great things. He was very ambitious. And is ambition good, or is it bad? And when is it good, and when is it bad? Another aspect of the book that got brought to the surface, and I knew this was a theme. It didn't seem like it wasn't a theme that I was interested in or that I really struggle a whole lot with, but other people, this is something that for them is a big deal, and it's this idea of living in the past. That all these characters are really living in the past, pining after the past, or trying to recreate the past. And how so many of us do that. We live on past accomplishments and successes, and we talked about the importance of making the past a building block. And so you can look for those references of the importance of the past and how destructive that can be. There's this quote right at the beginning when the narrator's talking about Gatsby, and he talks about how he had an extraordinary gift for hope, romantic readiness, such as I've never seen in any other person, he turned out to be, he's talking about Gatsby. No, Gatsby turned out to be all right in the end. It is what preyed on Gatsby, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams. So look for that as well. What were the results of their choices? What were the consequences? And not just the consequences, but like, what were the results of Gatsby's going after this dream at all costs? And anyway, these are all the kinds of things that I want to discuss again. We'll be, obviously, we'll have an over the phone discussion on it and post that for you. But this idea of him creating himself and I don't know, just anyway, there's even better stuff there. There's some symbolism that we talked about, comparing it to some other Lewis stuff. But anyway, I wanted to say that discussion is a critical tool, and I've experienced this many times before. I was not excited at all about Wuthering Heights. I didn't want to read it. I didn't really enjoy reading it. And then when I discussed it, it was one of those, I think maybe I want to go read it again and I want to look for some of the stuff we talked about. And I'm having that feeling about The Great Gatsby. In my last post I said, maybe read it once so you could be culturally aware. I knew there were some good things, you know, it's worth reading. And I thought, well, it's worth reading once. It's probably worth reading again. Just to look for some of the themes and to really be self-evaluating on what are we blind to, and anyway, all those kinds of ideas. Fitzgerald did have a messy personal life, and I think part of it was his own lost dreams and visions and ideals by the time he wrote this book. Anyway, read it, discuss it, enjoy it, and just know, I don't know if you'll enjoy it because, you know, it doesn't have a very happy ending, but you, anyway, it's very worth, it's one of those books that, you know, maybe probably 1984 is one of those books that we don't necessarily want to read, but then we read them and then we discuss them, most importantly. And it changes our idea of ourselves and of the world because these are classics. So, see you next time.